Hey, it's the Fort Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny. Welcome to our podcast.
Where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
sex.
And today's topic is traveling with your significant other.
Yeah.
And it's not about the logistics and all that.
No.
It's about when you want to go and she doesn't.
Yeah. But I think that we should narrow this down to when family's involved, extended family, because it applies in...
It's true. It's not vacation.
Yeah, we're not talking about vacation.
Or trips.
Yeah.
So what happened is I have a tech support client. You know, you can pay for tech support. And he reached out, and they live in one country. They're both from two different countries. And he wants to travel back to his home country and see his family.
Totally normal.
Her country borders his, and they'll be able to visit her family too. And they're in Europe, so they get like a month off.
Yeah.
So this isn't like in the U.S. where we got 3 days or 5 days.
Yeah, he said it's not an issue of time or money.
They were just there for their wedding a couple months ago, and he wants to go back and see his family. His family is very important, and in this community, family carries more weight than it does. Like in the U.S., it's a little more fragmented.
Yeah.
Families are very important, and extended families are extremely important. And in both countries, really. But she doesn't want to go.
She doesn't want to go to his family's country. She wants to go to her family's country.
Yeah. I may not completely understand that. That may just be a secondary, like they can visit.
Oh, I see.
Does that make sense? Like we're going to go here, and then we can go to see your family also.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But the primary, of course, is she doesn't want to go at all.
Yeah.
You know, and he says we have the time and the money, which when you're newly married, that's only for a season, you know, that you have the time and the money.
Right.
So Bunny and I talked about this. And Bunny, what did you suggest for this gentleman to do? Because the wife says, I don't want to go, and she became mad about it.
Yeah. Well, she sounds like a handful to begin with. But what I said was, what we discussed was, it's a non-negotiable. You are going to go visit family. This is how this works. You don't have an unlimited number of years to spend with your parents, your grandparents, your extended family. So you literally have to spend time with them as you're able to. Now, when a man and a woman get married, when a man and a woman love each other, when you get married, we are bound to prioritize one another. Aside from all other family, you prioritize one another. I talk about this quite often. However, you still have to go see other people. You still have to see family. You still have to spend time with them. And she needs to realize that his family is now her family. So they're still going to go because he's the man of the household. He's the husband. She needs to remain in his frame, so to speak, follow his lead and his leadership and his guidance. But she can either go and have a wonderful time, or she can go and be a total bitch. But that's her attitude that determines that. They're going to see their family in his home country, period. Now, what I suggested was that when they're there, they still prioritize one another a bit more than maybe they normally would. You know, maybe go on a coffee date, maybe just spend an hour or two away from the family together, kind of have a few dates just with them in this country while they're there so yeah, I'm trying to read your hand signals, so that they still have time together and it doesn't feel like just overwhelmed to her that they're surrounded by his family all the time.
I think it's important. This is the hand signal. I wanted to make a point. guys are very bad about this, especially going back to their families.
Yeah.
They run off with their brothers,
Yeah.
cousins, uncles.
Very
they literally
true.
hit the ground, and now they're 18 again.
Yeah.
And they leave their wife just like they left their girlfriend or never had a girlfriend before they left home.
Good point.
With their mom and grandmother.
It's
true.
And
it's a real problem because I've heard the complaint, oh, yeah, we went back to visit his family. I didn't see him for a week.
It's true. And she gets stuck in the kitchen doing chores and stuff.
With people she has nothing in common with.
Yeah.
Other than she's now family.
It's true. That's very true.
Yeah. It's a big problem.
That's a major problem.
Well, and you kind of head it off right away. But a lot of guys do. I mean, it's almost like as soon as they hit the ground, they're like, yeah, I'm gone.
You're right. You're right.
They need it.
We always go play golf. We always go drink at this pub. We always do drive around in the country. Whatever the always is.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a big deal.
And if he's popular, or a lot of people want to see him. And what I've noticed with my friends that have an extended social circle, they say, we're going to be at this restaurant.
Yeah.
At 1 p.m. on Wednesday.
Perfect.
We want you to come see us.
Well, that's what I do when I go back to Madison.
Yeah.
It's like when I go to what I consider my hometown of Madison, Wisconsin, I'm like, we're going to meet up here.
Yeah.
And then it's essentially a big party for a couple of hours, and it's wonderful, and everybody sees each other, and it's great. But it doesn't mean that I'm driving around to 15 different homes to have mini parties. Yeah, it's a big deal.
You can end up using your entire time catching up with other people. And so just bring them all to you, and
it's
you can
a
introduce the
win-win.
new wife. But that was my point.
That's very critical.
Guys are bad about that,
So I would say that's even point number 2 or 3 or whatever we're on. Next, we were talking about then going to her home country, but prioritizing your coupledom there as well. So even though he doesn't seem to mind going to her home country and seeing her extended family, they still need to have this in mind where they still have them time to get away a couple of 1 or 2 hours at a time or whatever it takes, because she'll either love it or she'll hate it, because when she's around her family, she may not want to leave and have a date with him, but by golly, that's how it works.
Right. If
you're gonna pitch a fucking fit because we're going to see my family, and so this is how this works. There's an exchange here. So I think that if she loves it, it's a win-win. You have date time in these other countries that you love and that you have connection to, but you're still prioritizing one another. If she hates it, then maybe she'll stop bitching so much whenever they're at his family's house to kind of pull him away. And she'll respect more the time that they're there. And
I guess the fourth thing I've noticed, and I know guys with great families.
Yeah.
People, I mean, the parents, you just want to be around them, and they're awesome people. And the new wife starts trying to drive a wedge. She doesn't like hanging out with his mom. She's kind of nosy. I don't like hanging out with your dad. He's, pushy, and he's always, Some wives, by design, either they have a horrible relationship with their own family.
Yes.
They're selfish. They're possessive.
They're all of the above.
They're all the above. I mean, it could come from anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't have good family models to work off of.
Yeah.
They'll start trying to limit his time with his family, and she can go kick rocks.
And a lot of times this doesn't start until they're actually married.
Exactly.
There's something about, and I don't want to scare you guys, there's something about putting a ring on it that tends to be when that comes out. And I don't know why that doesn't, they're BFFs up until the marriage, and then suddenly she's like possessive and doesn't like his mom anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And I would understand. I mean, there's a lot of there's so many variations.
Yeah.
Like the mother-in-law is kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
But the guy usually knows that.
Right, right.
Because his new wife has said, your mom is a real bitch to me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she drives me nuts. So you kind of have to weigh all of that. But even in the best scenarios, there's something going on in her head that she doesn't want him around his family. She doesn't like him. I mean, there's girls that are just jealous of his family.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, kind of like what we've talked about with women hiding other men, including even discussions about their fathers, their brothers, completely innocuous, non-sexual relationships. Just mentioning other men to the men that they're fucking or, you know, or trying to fuck. We automatically do that. I think the same is true in reverse, like you're talking about. With men or with women automatically being jealous. And maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I don't talk to you about my brothers and my...
I see what you're saying.
You know, I don't want to hear about your mom, you know, or your sisters, what they're doing so great.
Exactly.
It's a comparison game with women, though,
That's very interesting. And guys, I mean, it's very much a one-way street sometimes. Like, you don't even notice that she never mentions her family. Yeah. You know? And you just, again, there's 1,000 variations on this.
There are.
But
which is why we're all over the place.
Yeah, but when you do have a strong family tie, it's best to establish that before you get married. Yeah. And let her know. This way so she can, like, bail out. And you don't have to deal with it. Yeah. You know, you want them to know that you are going to be around your family. You might even move mom and dad nearby. Yeah. You know, and just tell them how you want it. And they can stick around or not. Right. You know, that's not your job to, like, negotiate. You know, you just let her know because they'll either adjust or ghost. That's true. You know, they'll start working their way out. You know, if it's literally something they can't live with. Yeah. You know. But if, you know, I don't think any women get into a relationship or into a marriage at least, and then he says, hey, we're moving back next to my parents. You know, I mean, I think it does happen sometimes with economics. Yeah. And this is a completely different podcast, but a lot of guys will be like bebopping along and like her parents will be 2,000 miles away. And she says, hey, you know, we're thinking about getting pregnant next year and I want to be near my parents. Yeah. And he's like,
this is the first she's mentioned it.
Yeah, you don't see him but like once a year. Yeah. I know, but I want to be close to my mom and my sisters there and they had their babies. You're like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to move everything 2,000 miles. You know, I mean, right. So you need to get this stuff.
I think that happens more often than not.
You need to get this stuff squared away before you put a ring on it. Yeah. You know.
It's a good point.
And we only tell you because everybody else finds out later. These are adult challenges. Yeah. That you're like, oh shit, I wish I had known. Yeah. So that's the deal with our travel story. Travel and family.
Travel and family, because we want you to win. If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you have a great solution for how you've dealt with, you know, international family and traveling to see them and balancing the time. This can be true even without international, because even within the U.S., if you're 20 minutes from your family or more, it's a balance. It's a balancing act. You know, how to prioritize which family at which holidays and all of that kind of thing. It's a big deal, and it often causes rifts in relationships and families. It's a lot to weigh, because when you marry someone, you really do marry the family, and it's just for better or worse. So they can kind of make or break relationships a lot of times. We want you to win.